Hello, my name is Jeffrey Holtmeyer. The case study I have chosen to do is case 7.3, the Fordasaurus, which was written by William H. Shaw and Vincent Berry. This is a case about how Ford was challenged by a lot of people in the Environmental Protection Agency about producing the Ford Excursion. A little bit of history about Ford Motor Company. For years, Ford Motor Company had not had a vehicle to market against the Chevy Suburban. So they had nothing to fill that niche in the sales industry. General Motors, basically, anybody wanted a big SUV, they bought a Chevy Suburban. Ford did not have one. As time went on, everything gets bigger and bigger. Well, the public was demanding something bigger and better than the Suburban. So Ford decided to produce the Excursion. In the mid-1900s, Ford designers started designing the Ford Excursion, which was based off of their F-250 truck frame. The Excursion came in at 19 feet long, 7 feet tall, and 6.5 feet wide. It weighed a whopping 8,500 pounds. And at that time, it was the biggest SUV on the market. And the fact that it was so big isn't what had environmentalists upset. It was the fact that it only got between 10 to 15 miles per gallon. And previously, Ford had stated that they were going to try to become a more eco-friendly automaker. So this was upsetting the environmentalists. Well, a study was done by Daniel Baker of the Sierra Club, and the study points out that the course of an average lifetime of 120,000 miles, each excursion will emit 130 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And as we all know, carbon dioxide, or carbon, is a leading cause of greenhouse gases and global warming. And in the late 19th century and early 20th century, people were starting to get a lot more concerned about our environment, which is a good thing. Well, Ford turned around and counteracted that statement by saying, look, we are environmentally friendly because the Excursion is made out of 85% recyclable material, and 20% of the metal and plastic that's went into the building of the SUV is recycled material. But still, that was not good enough for the environmentalists. Well, at that time, William Clay Ford Jr. was a chairman for Ford, and on September 1998, he vowed to make Ford the world's most environmentally friendly automaker. He added, however, that what we do to help the environment must succeed as a business proposition. A zero-emission vehicle that sits unsold on a dealer's lot is not reducing pollution. What he meant by that is, at that time, the public was not willing to pay the money for a zero-emissions vehicle or go to that small of a vehicle. So when you produce any vehicle in the industry, it has a carbon footprint when it comes from the factory. Because at the factory, it took some kind of energy, be it electricity, coal, some form of energy to produce that car. It went into the production of it. So even when the car leaves the factory, it already has a carbon footprint that is imprinted on the environment. So a car that is unsold and still has a carbon footprint is not good business sense. But that was still not good enough for the environmentalists. But in 1999, there was a glimmer of hope for them. The Clinton administration proposed to tighten emission restrictions on new passenger cars, restricting that new vehicles in the light truck category would also meet by 2009. So they basically put tighter restrictions on emissions on cars and light trucks. But since the Excursion was built on a medium-duty truck platform, it was excluded from these emission controls. So it did not affect the production of the Excursion at all. Now, Ford Motor Company did go into the production of the Excursion in more of a cars theory of business. They went in thinking, okay, General Motors is building a big thing, Dodge was building a big vehicle at that time, let's join the bandwagon and build something even bigger and better. That's what the public wants. They didn't worry about what it done to the environment or what happened here or there. Just, it made good business sense to do it, it would sell, and everybody else is doing it. They maybe could have been better off by taking a different approach and producing a comparable vehicle to the size of the Suburban, maybe a little smaller, that got better gas mileage, thus being eco-friendly or more eco-friendly than the Suburban, and maybe sold more. Who knows? But that's my theory behind that. And also, as far as how this took care of itself, well, the Suburban, or Excursion, excuse me, was produced from the year 2000 to 2005. Well, in the first couple years of its production, the Excursion sold like gangbusters, and Ford made money off of it. Gas was a little cheaper at that time. People wanted it, it sold. But then in the early 20th century, if everybody remembers, gas prices started rising. So people were turning to more eco-friendly cars that got better gas mileage. So the sales of the Excursion went down. They went down low enough to a point that in 2005, Ford quit producing the Excursion, and this problem basically solved itself. They took it out of production. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.